Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday evening training. It's sort of a low-key training that we're doing at the moment, but we are going through our Eagle Team training manual. And we've gone through quite a few things already. And tonight we're going to do the business presentation information. Now, things have changed a little bit over the years because back in the early days, and the older people here will remember those early days, we had live presentations 2 to 3 times a week. And I think back in Charlie's days, that was along the lines of 5 nights a week. Aren't we glad we don't have those anymore, I think. But 5 nights a week, Charlie would do a business presentation, and he traveled 80 kilometers one way. That would be the equivalent of me driving from home to Mamsumtoti one way, 5 nights a week. If that was how we had to do the business today, I wouldn't be here. Thank goodness we have technology, because look, we've got 7 people on board, spread around the country, and we're right here. Isn't that so much better? So, but business presentations still happen, and we're going to be having one on Saturday afternoon in Umhlanga. So is everybody going to be attending that one? Everybody on this meeting tonight, are we all going to be there? Okay. Jenny, you're flying up for that? Good. And if not, why not? And are you bringing guests? I'm going to try and be there, but I'm not making any promises at this stage. But when it comes to those business presentations, how do we arrive? What do we do? So according to the booklet, people don't sign up because of who the speaker is or what he says. Remember the last time? Did we all go because Rick O'Brien was going to be there? Or did we go because it was a business presentation? I think it was because of the general atmosphere that was generated in the meeting by all those attending. We've gotten a bit lax over the last few years. This horrible thing that's been doing the round and shut down the world. Remember just a few years ago when those of us here in the bush would get frustrated because the guys up in Durban were having meetings 2 to 3 times a week, live meetings, where they could have people come along, and we were stuck in the bush and couldn't get there. So this way is a whole lot better and easier. But my personal opinion, and I'm talking about me, we've become lazy and complacent. Why are we not doing 2 to 3 presentations a week? I'm not talking training, I'm talking business presentations. We should be doing business presentation at least 3 times a week. And my challenge to myself is to actually get there, to do that. And it can be one-on-one. It doesn't have to be a group, it can be one-on-one. And it should actually be one-on-one. But when you have these group presentations, like what will happen on Saturday, it's the excitement, the friendliness. Remember when we were all there? Everybody was greeting everybody else. It was like a family reunion. And it was great to be able to introduce some of my team members to some of the other people. Yeah, this is Andrew. This is Rico. This is John and Debbie. This is everybody else who's around there. And it was great for people to put a person to the name and to the face. We all need to be smiling. And there's always camaraderie. Think about convention. Convention is like a family reunion. So when we attend these things, do we pitch in like what I'm wearing now, short sleeve shirt, and we won't tell you what else we're not wearing, but do we pitch as though we've just come to the local club, to the local pub? Or do we pitch that it's a business meeting? I'm not saying, I know here in Natal, some of us don't do these nooses around the neck, And thank heavens that's gone out of business presentations these days. I know Charlie still likes his suit and tie. I've never gotten into that. But at least look neat, look like a business person. And that's what we need to do. Smart casual, not jeans or business attire. For the guest information, we need to tell them, how long is this presentation going to be? Saturday, we're starting at 2, we should be done by 3. 4 questions, make it 3:30, but we should be done by 3 for the actual presentation itself. And it's a business meeting, so try not to bring children. Try and organize a babysitter. Tell them what time you're going to be picking them up. Or tell them what time to meet you at the venue. The meeting starts at 2. Please be there by between 1:30 and 1:45 so that we can chat and we can get you a seat. Or in my case, the meeting's going to be at 2. We are leaving South Coast at 11:30. Be ready. For the distributor, be punctual. Get there at 1:30. Don't get there at 1:58 and 30 seconds. Be positive. Believe that your guest will get started as a distributor or a customer. They've agreed to come to the meeting. Why aren't they going to become, at the very least, a customer? Charlie says, don't ask stupid questions about where do you see yourself doing this? Only question is, when are you starting and which package are you taking? Because they've agreed to come to the presentation. Why are we trying to mentally tell them not to join us? Mistake I make way too often. And bringing your guests to the presentation is better than meeting them at the venue. Because as we know, people will promise you, oh yes, I'll be there. And 45 minutes after the presentation has started, they still haven't arrived. We need to take tools. Like anything, if you're a carpenter, you know what you need: hammer, you need tape measure, you need everything. When I go to work, I have an invoice book with me, and I have a tape measure in my pocket, and I have a pen in my pocket. Those are the tools of my business. And I normally have a bag full of stockings over my shoulder, but that's a different story. So this business, what are our tools? A smile is number one. We need to have an application form. We need to have those application pads. Preferably, I've done a template of my application form, and I've already put in all my information. Keep a few copies handy. And then you simply hand it over and say, please fill in your information. My information is already at the bottom. We need to have a good quality pen. Maybe a near life pen. Maybe the pen that I keep in my pocket is a pocket pen that I've had for over 30 years. And people are amazed when I tell them that, because pens generally tend to disappear. But I literally do not leave home without my pen in my pocket, whether it's work, whether it's business, when I'm on duty or not. When I leave home, I've got a pen in my pocket. And we need to have an information pack that contains the following: a lifestyle magazine, a product catalog, an Eagle Team price comparison, and CDs or DVDs. Obviously, if you're online, we've got the TNL app, and we can share that with them. Share a link. If you're doing a virtual presentation, share a link with people. If you're doing live, have the other tools with you. And it's important that should they not join, you need to collect the information pack and show them how they can save money. And that is where your price comparison comes in. So don't give away the things if they're not interested in joining. Those, okay, the lifestyle I don't think costs very much, but your product catalog, that's nearly 40 Rand. It's an investment, yes. But if somebody's not interested, don't waste your money on them. If they're interested, it's an investment. So the basic business conduct is, we're going to talk about over here, live presentation. Introduce your guest to the speaker. And this is why it's important to arrive early, because your speaker will be there. Go up and say, "Hi, John, please meet my guest, Lorraine," or whoever it might be. Introduce them. Let them get to know each other. It's business, but it's also needs to be friendly. It mustn't be this, staid, setback thing. Help people to relax. The first 3 rows are the best seats, preferably the front row. Remember our meetings in the old DSC? Everybody was almost fighting to get into the front row. Me personally, if I go to a meeting of any sort, I generally like to make like wallpaper and sit at the back. But I've learned in this business, we need to be in the front, because as somebody likes to say, if you're in the front, you get to hear the information first. Don't keep seats for your guests. If they're late, their problem. I think in the early days, a lot of presentation meetings, if the meeting was due to start at 7 p.m., the doorkeeper locked the door at 7 p.m. If you were late, tough, your problem. They were a lot more stricter back then, and I think we've become a bit lax. Don't leave your guests unattended. First of all, somebody else might get to talk to them. Second of all, they're going to feel very uncomfortable. If you land up in a room full of strangers, I'm talking about me personally, if I'm in a room full of strangers, I shut up and become wallpaper. And if somebody talks to me, I'll talk back to them, but I'm not the sort of person who can walk into a room full of people and go and make ready conversation. That's not how I work. That's my personality. Some people are like that. Don't talk about the products, the business, or show any literature before the presentation. Talk about form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation, or money. We know this situation, and a lot of this would have been covered as well in your initial meeting, in your first meeting with the person, before you've even invited them. Speak to them about the form. Be a team player and participate in the presentation. Nod your head. As Rico likes to say, this is yes, this is no. And he always amuses me when he says that. But we need to participate. So when the person is speaking, look at them in the eye. Be part of that presentation. Agree with them. Nod. Shake your head if that is the thing that they're looking for. Laugh at the jokes. You may have heard the same joke 20,000 times already, but pretend as if it's the first time you've heard it. Raise your hand when asked. Who would like to earn an extra 4,000 Rand this month? Yes, please. Who would like to earn an extra 100 Rand this week? Yes, please. Show your enthusiasm. Be active, be part of it. Don't just sit there and go, yeah, I've heard this presentation 50 times already. This is boring. Be enthusiastic. Act as if it's the first time you've ever heard the story. And this is if you are not the presenter. Have fun. It's a fun business. This is not a upscale, snooty type business. Everybody is down to earth, and be the fun person. Don't fold your arms. I know I have a nasty habit of doing that. When you sit down, you sit and fold your arms. When you're folding your arms, you're blocking yourself. Body language tells us that when your arms are folded, you're blocking yourself from the person talking to you, as in you basically close your eyes. You're almost sitting with your back to them saying, I'm not interested in what you have to say. If your arms are open and by your side, or even sitting on your lap, you're open and you're willing to accept that information. Sit on the edge of your chair. This is exciting. It needs to be something that we want to hear. This is news to us. Don't sit back and lounge. Don't make notes when you have guests or when sitting next to someone else's guests. If you want to make notes or need to make notes, sit at the back. Do not get up immediately after the presentation, as this will disrupt the closing. So in the last words are being said, and thanks for being here, everybody. You're already getting up and running off to go and get your allergy juice at the back of the meeting. No, don't do that. If you have to get up, make sure you're sitting at the back, not in the front. The closing techniques. When everything is done and dusted, hand over the application pad and ask a question such as, who prints the neatest? You or your wife? We've all seen Charlie give this demonstration. Or would you like to use my pen? And my feeling is just hand over the pad or the form and say, my details are already here at the bottom. Here's my pen. Just fill in your details here at the top. They're already stunned and they're going, they've already been programmed to say yes throughout the presentation. Hand them the form, hand them the pen, and show them where to write. Give them the information pack. That's your price comparison, product catalog, the lifestyle magazine. Make a firm appointment within the next 24 hours. Thanks for being part of the meeting. It's been great. Fill in your details over here. I will meet you tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. Where are we going to be meeting? You've already made the appointment. They've accepted the fact that you're meeting them again. All it is a matter of what time and where and where. Tell them not to talk to anybody until you've taught them the correct way to invite. So it's not a secret, but if they say too much too soon, your new person can literally get talked out of the business. And as we've all been taught, your feet can get very cold in 24 hours. I tell my patients on a regular basis, 24 hours can make a significant difference. That goes towards healing as well as backpedaling out of a business. Ask them to note any questions they may have, even if the questions are trivial. And as I always tell people, please feel free to ask as many questions as possible or as you want, because there are no such thing as stupid questions. If you don't understand, ask, because I will have forgotten the fact that some things to me are common knowledge, but to you as the new person, you're clueless. They don't understand these things. So they need to know that no question is stupid. And then also when it comes to payment, things are expensive these days. People don't like carrying cash. I know this is a cash business and it used to be a cash business. And when things cost 30 Rand, people had 100 Rand on them. It wasn't a big deal. Now our kits are starting to look at costs in the region of, what are some of our starter kits? 830 Rand, 2,500 Rand, 2,800 Rand, 1,070 Rand. People don't like to carry cash. So if you've said right now, which pack are you going to take? And are you going to pay now? Whoa, I don't have 1,000 Rand on me. I don't have 800 Rand on me. It's too dangerous to carry cash. Do you take a card? Are you prepared for your prospect or customer to pay via card or via EFT? My suggestion, I've invested in a little machine, which I don't have on me now because it's in my briefcase that I take to work with me on a daily basis, in a little machine called a Yoko. It is a bank card machine and it links to an app on your phone. And I had a patient the other day, we were talking and they said, thanks, Mandy. Yes, that little machine over there. They said, I'll take 2 bottles of full motion, please. How much money is that? And she's told me, I'm technologically challenged. I don't know how to do an EFT. I've had a couple of patients tell me, or customers tell me that. I said, don't worry, I've got a card machine. Oh, wow, thank you. Yes, you lose about 15%, I think, that they take. But your money is there. You literally open up the app, connects to your phone, you type in the amount, put the card into the machine, oops, bing, done, sorted. You've got your money and it's paid into your account 24 hours later. So be prepared. Technology is changing. People want to be able to pay with a card. I know wherever I go, I want to pay with a card. I don't carry cash on me. Or I try not to carry cash on me, because cash isn't always a good thing. So be prepared. We're starting to deal with bigger amounts these days, and it's a business. So if you are paying tax on your business, that little card machine, that bank charge, Debbie, you'd be able to tell us, is retrievable from tax. I'm sure we can claim it back as a business expense. Yeah, just like you're paying VAT when you get to Charlie's stature, I'm sure we can claim back bank charges as well. So be prepared. And that is the end of that little page. So does anybody have any questions before I stop recording?
Just one thing on the presentation, Sean, even on Zoom presentations, your guest is very important, or someone who hasn't been on Zoom before. I think we need to just take time just to introduce them, welcome them, or maybe just to make them feel part of the team. You know, people don't really care how much you know, it's how much you care.
Correct.
So yeah, so even on the Zoom, if for instance I'm doing the plan and Jenny Holiday's got a guest, I need to just stop a while and say, Jen, I see you've got a guest, please will you introduce your guest, you know, just so that the guest feels part of it. And I recognize Jenny Holiday as having a guest. So she gets her recognition, and so does the guest. You know what I'm like with my recognition.
Yep. And it's too easy to forget to do that. And I know I'm very guilty of that, because you just accept the fact that they're there. And if they've gotten onto Zoom, it's already in a lot of cases a technological marvel, because I think we might agree that getting onto Zoom in the beginning was quite tricky.
Yeah.
And some people still battle.
And sometimes you get into your talk, you know, you've got your, what we call a spiel. So you've got your talk all sorted out, or your presentation, or whatever you're talking on or speaking on, and then suddenly this person comes on. So it really cuts through. But if you were in a main meeting in a hall, you would definitely stop and say, welcome, so-and-so, you know. So we must just do it on Zoom.
Great. So a virtual meeting and an in-person meeting, there's not actually that much difference, except in person you can see the rest of the body, and on Zoom you can only see the head and neck. So. Yeah.
Sean, if I can just say something quite quickly. You mentioned that introduce the speaker, your guest to the speaker. Why that's so important? Because the speaker can actually use some of his information or background in that field of that person and incorporate it into the talk. So I know that you cover a lot of bases. I was analyzing your talk yesterday, and going through it, you covered all those bases, and I was very happy that they came up very clearly, and they were in there. You don't want to discuss the audience participation when you're going through, because it's disruptive to the other people as well. But at the end, for a question time, someone might have an answer. So sometimes that can be brought in. But well done on that talk. Was absolutely ideal. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because
Yeah,
sometimes
getting
by
sharper
knowing
and
the person, sorry,
You're getting sharper and sharper, Sean.
I've got some good trainers, but sometimes by doing that, knowing the backgrounds, you can answer the question before it's been asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then on the closing techniques, I think we must cover that in depth on
Yes.
another talk later on, because there's a lot of things that we can actually bring into our talk on the closing.
That's next week.
And the restrictions. Yeah. Okay.
Who's doing next week?
Yeah, I think it's Jenny Potter this time. So I hope, Jenny Potter, you're listening.
Big
I
eyes.
told you.
Yeah. Jenny, it's information on the plan. Phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And then we can go through it slowly. We don't have to go through fast, because phase 4 is the close. So, you know, phase 1 is the purpose, tell your story, don't bring politics, etc., use humor. So that sort of thing. Some of this Sean's gone through, so we just need to sharpen up and get to phase 4. That's on page 18. Information on the plan.
I'll do it on my phone because my PC's camera is a little bit thick.
Okay, as long as you're happy with that.
Oh.
You're okay? Good, cool.
I'm going to stop recording.
Thanks.